Okay, so uh, basically, I have been a YouTube member since December 24th, 2006 at 2:02 p.m. I signed up for YouTube back when their policies were quite different than they are now. This is my uh, Consumer Review Fairness Act review of YouTube's policies and procedures, terms of service, their community standards. I am invoking the federal law known as CRFA in order to produce this review. Um, Now, this is because uh, this is how the the frauditor auditor crowd likes to debate, is they like to play all these games of using procedure. So here was a video and it has been removed. I can't even download my own copyrighted material anymore because YouTube has deleted it without giving me an opportunity to download it. So it seems like a violation of my copyright since I made it streaming to their service. But yeah, so we already knew how the fraudit wrangler crowd operated, and we've been playing their game. So I reported him each and every time he has harassed, humiliated, or otherwise used somebody's mental health status, which is a disability. And you can see their policy here. Community guidelines on hate speech. Okay. So hate speech is not allowed on YouTube. We remove content promoting violence or hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the following attributes. Disability. Mental health is a disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So it has to be considered a disability. And on each one of these videos, uh, Mr. Fraudit Wrangler has decided to talk about people needing a thorium drip and how just go ahead and ignore their opinion because they have uh, a history of mental illness and have accepted services for mental health. Meanwhile, meanwhile, my video was taken down under uh, the medical misinformation policy, which I'm guessing is the COVID-19 medical misinformation policy. So basically, YouTube claims that in supporting their community online here, they have some sort of contractual. And remember, I've been a member for a very long time, so my agreement goes back to 2006 with YouTube. Now, I'm sure I agreed that they can change the policy and the terms of use. However, can they change that policy unilaterally in a form filled contract uh, to a degree that the new contract no longer represents the old contract? So, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, well, let's just go back to a Wayback Machine and let's search YouTube. There's no free speech on YouTube, right? Uh, because they say so. It's whatever they want. They own the platform. You do all this work to create a video, and they accept all that free labor in violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Because basically, if you look at what happened, um, they wanted, and again, I signed up on December 24th, 2006. Um, so if I go to December 24th, and sure shit, look at that. That shit still exists, man. The Wayback Machine is like Google. It caches everything. So this is literally what YouTube used to look like. This is shortly after YouTube was purchased by Google, and you can see that they started adding a bunch of stuff. And basically back then what they used to call it was the code of conduct. Respect the YouTube community. We review videos flagged as inappropriate. Don't cross the line. No pornography, sexually explicit content. Don't show videos posing dangerous or illegal acts. Real violence is not allowed. YouTube is not a shock site. Don't post gross out videos, accidents, dead bodies. Respect copyright. Now, here we go. This is the contract the day I signed up. Okay. We encourage free speech and defend everyone's right to express unpopular points of view. But we don't permit hate speech, which contains slurs or the malicious use of stereotypes intended to attack or demean a particular gender, sexual orientation, race, religion, or nationality. Oh, I guess they forgot disability. I'm guessing in practice back then they probably supported the disabilities. But remember, part of the contract I signed was YouTube, and by extension Google, since YouTube was bought out by Google, and YouTube Google now does business as YouTube. So remember, this is what I agreed to back in 2006, that we we must be YouTube and or me. And at the time, I can tell you for sure that I definitely fucking defend everyone's right to express unpopular points of view. Okay, like maybe medical consensus on how to defend yourself. That's an unpopular point of view right now. So, according to the agreement that I signed with YouTube, we encourage free speech and defend everyone's right to express unpopular points of view, but we don't permit hate speech. Okay? So that was what I reported, hate speech. And that, look, that was okay because it's still live. Okay? Now, that was YouTube's policy back then, and you can see that their terms of service also incorporates a lot of the code of conduct in it. Again, this was the community guidelines on December 2nd, 2006. This was just a few days before I joined up on December 24th, 2006. And I've been a long time user of Google. I was a beta tester of Gmail. That's how I got my name, Jason A. Jensen at gmail.com. And I've been an advocate of Google for a really long time until a few years back when they got rid of their "Don't be evil" policy, and then immediately became as evil as possible. Like again, see here, we have received my appeal, and they reviewed my content carefully and confirmed it violates medical misinformation policy. So when I sent my appeal, I literally sent the University of Minnesota's commentary written by Lisa Brazu. I'm not even going to try to pronounce all these PhDs, and I don't even know what SDCCIH is, but this was published February of this year, and it is still hosted on University of Minnesota umn.edu. Now that is a special domain name. You can't. Not everybody can just get a .edu. You have to be a registered, valid educational facility. And it says Dr. Brasu is a national expert on respiratory protection and infectious diseases and a research consultant with the Center of Infectious Disease Research and Policy, CIDRAP, at the University of Minnesota. Okay, so that's them basically indicating their authority on the subject matter. Dr. McIntyre, yeah, that's probably actually how you pronounce that. Dr. McIntyre is professor of global security at the University of South Wales. She co authored a separate critique of the Jefferson Cochrane Review. Dr. Ulrich is a UMN assistant professor in the Division of Environmental Health Sciences and CIDRAP researcher. Dr. Osterholm is a CIDRAP director and regent professor at UMN. Two recent publications conclude there are no difference between surgical masks and respirators for preventing person-to-person transmission of infections, respiratory respiratory viruses like SARS, COVID-2, and influenza. That is a joke. And as they say, these studies are deeply flawed. Deeply. It has to do with particle size. One of these random controlled trials by Loeb et al. Comparing SARS, COVID basically, infections in healthcare workers wearing respirators or masks for care of COVID patients. Now, let me go on and put my warning in there as an OSHA trained and certified person. You can wear a mask without any medical clearance, but don't ever wear a respirator without first going through medical clearance. A respirator, and this was in the video that YouTube deleted. A respirator will kill you if you're not physically fit. And the reason for that is most people can force air into their lungs. Uh, Not everybody can force air out of their lungs, and especially not at an efficiency that will prevent them from dying from CO2 asphyxiation. The other is a Cochrane review by Jefferson et al. Of mask and respirator studies in household and healthcare settings. Both are built on the premise that infectious respiratory viruses like COVID and influenza are only transmitted person to person by large droplets. Okay, that's fucking stupid. And this was my argument in the deleted video by YouTube. Okay, if you wear one of these N95 masks or whatever, anything but a respirator, and you got it around your mouth and it's sealed nice and tight, the best it can do, and you go into a bathroom while I'm taking a big fat shit and just, I mean, farting away. Okay, now the way smells work, and this was in the deleted video, the way smells work is when you fart, the air comes out of your ass, and it has particulate in it that is shit from your asshole. So when you fart, this shit comes out your asshole, and there's particulate in it. And so when that air enters in your nose and refractory system, your brain picks it up on the back of your sinuses with special receptors that can basically detect various compounds that are converted to smells in your mind. This is actually why how eating works and taste, and they're all connected. That's why you lose your sense of smell, you lose your sense of taste. And so, anyways, when you fart, these shit particles come out your ass, and those as particles smell like shit, and that's how it works. So, in order for you to smell shit, uh, particles of shit have to enter your nose. I don't know if you like this idea, but that's just the truth of the fact of the matter. Okay. Now, the average size. Here we go. When you smell poop, it is because poop particles have gone up your nose. Uh, well, I was hoping they'd have particulate size. But what percentage of farts contain? Hmm, Not seeing the particulate size. I mean, I guess I knew there wouldn't be a big science on this. Um, but basically, the poop particles that you breathe in while wearing that surgical mask are much bigger than the COVID virus is. That's just a fact. Here we go. The largest volume of fart to be milliliters. Oh, never mind. Milliliters is a volume, so that's not a particulate size. These smelly gases are just single molecules. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess they're trying to consider if you can get COVID from farts here. Um, anyway, sneezes into the eyes, nose, mouth of somebody nearby. Okay, you notice they say nose, mouth, eyes. So yeah, you can actually get viruses from it, the particles in the air hitting your eyes, which is why they went from the mask to the shields. That's why they needed those shields. This might happen when a healthcare provider is close contact, blah, blah, blah. People continuously release many particles. Yeah, in fact, like if you rub your skin, there's skin particles now in the air. The smaller particles remain suspended in air for long periods, minutes to hours, and can accumulate over time, easily dispersed throughout an indoor space. So, let's say you're coughing every 30 seconds. Each time you cough, you put this particulate into the air, and that particulate accumulates. Masks offer little protection. That's not my opinion. That is the University of Minnesota in the United States of America publishing a report, and I am discussing and keep in mind it just disconnects and whatever. So to recap, YouTube does not freaking do the bullying and the disabilities. It's okay to harass and talk about how mentally ill persons need a thorium drip. That's okay. And to suggest that uh, anybody with a mental health can just be ignored. Nothing they say matters because they have a mental illness. This whole concept by Fraudit Wrangler is a okay, but they can report and use the reporting system. I mean, nobody ever even watched this fucking video, and that's how I know So I don't know how I'm supposed to record a video if it's constantly just losing the freaking audio. It doesn't make any sense. So I guess what we'll do is we'll try to keep an update on it. Now it's messed up OBS though because it doesn't have the screen's a different size. So to recap again, since we're having problems with this stupid freaking stream. Been a member since 2006. The policies and procedures back then on YouTube were very much different. I posted a video that was reviewing Fraudit Wrangler's work, and I was talking about how masks don't work because the particulate size, the COVID virus is just too small, and a cloth or surgical mask is not going to get that. It's just not. Never was. They're not designed for that. Um, you need a respirator, and this is the science behind that respirator needed. Okay, so here's the policy on hate speech. Here's my report of hate speech. Fraudit Wrangler, Fraudit Wrangler, Fraudit Wrangler. It's been almost a month on these two, 15 days, shy of a month. Okay, so it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks and nothing's done. But boy, my freaking medical misinformation stuff has to come down immediately. And no one even watched it. So they're using the review system to control the argument. I'm no longer liked, so I need to be removed from the community, especially since I have that mental health disorder. Anyways, so that that's basically a recap of their policy, and I'll explain. This is kind of funny. This was actually their. If you look, this is the terms of service when I signed up. We're currently putting out some new features, sweeping out the cobwebs and zapping a few gremlins. We'll be back later. In the meantime, please enjoy a layman's explanation of our website, documents, images, YouTube Manager, Air. So this is the terms of services that I agreed to when I signed up. Again, this review of Google's policies, terms of services, is under the Consumer Review Fairness Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. I am making this review under both federal laws. I haven't liked YouTube and Google since I published this on Steemit about 5 years ago. It says, after reading James Damore's complaint against Google, and James Damore was an autistic guy that Google decided to screw over based on his analytical position to a political question. In other words, he never had a chance as he wasn't picking up those subtle nuances that most people pick up on. Trying to enlist the same attorney to help me, only to be told he doesn't agree with my analysis. I have no other choice but to publish this. No, the lawyer didn't give me sound advice. In fact, he didn't give any advice. He didn't give my complaint due diligence, but he didn't have to. I didn't pay him anything. May the gods be kind to the man who stands up to such a degree as I am going to. But after reading the complaint against Google, I was no longer worried about job losses at Google by my opinions. That house has never been cleaned and needs so desperately. Quite simply, the number of laws there are, you are all guilty. So I've had this argument for a long can most likely accept volunteers in this manner that Google claims reCAPTCHA makes positive use of this human effort by channeling the time spent solving CAPTCHAs into digitalizing text, annotating images, and building machine learning datasets. That's also known as labor. ReCAPTCHA makes positive use of this free labor in violation of the Federal Fair Labor Standards Practices Act. When I'm browsing privately, not only do many sites use reCAPTCHA, but Cloudflare protected sites do as well. Blah, 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 blah. So basically, if you aren't logged into Google, you have to basically keep filling out captchas and doing free work for them to get to use their search engine. And here is a ruling that so they were workers not because they filled out a W 2 or had a job application or anything like that. The court determined, and here the court goes, we determined that the workers were employees because Ray Lana offered and incentivized them to work in exchange for the opportunity to shop early. Now, how does that differ from Google's position here, where they want you to do, say, a minute worth of work, and that minute they're going to compensate you by allowing you access to whatever site you're trying to log into. Uh, a user really has no choice but to use reCAPTCHA. This was more true at the time. There are some competitors, although they're nowhere near as big. And you have to use reCAPTCHA to log into federal government websites. Um, so basically, what that means is um, you can't have volunteers if you're a for-profit company. Um, you can't have forced labor, which Google is doing. There's more. And again, just go to Steam it and search for @temper. Um, and good luck deleting this. Google Steam it is powered by the blockchain. That's why it's still up here. It can't be deleted. So, anyways, when you come down here, and I talk about how much labor YouTube is getting at slave rates. And this is where they talk about their responsible supply chain. Well, uh, unless you're talking about this was so funny. This this judge who did this legal opinion of sovereign citizens. I, it's so funny when he compares it to 10,000 monkeys recreating by chance the work of Shakespeare. Okay, so uh, community standards, blah 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 blah. So Now, this used to be a real page, and I'm sure it's still there, but um, it's not what it used to be. I mean, they used to uh, talk about how many users were using it. And I know that because that evidence is still published. So here's Google liability calculations. And this is still published on my Dropbox. And if you look, oh, we don't want to log in. We want to accept some cookies. This is what the recapture page looked like on the day that I published that statement. And there's a lot of similarities. What is caption? Anyways, here's the Google liability calcs. I guess I gotta freaking sit here and watch this thing to say, "Oh, I lost the microphone. I lost the microphone," and then for some reason it just goes on mute. Oh, I lost the microphone. Oh, look, I can download that video, which I am now doing. I'm downloading my own video from my own Dropbox. I know what you're thinking. Oh, they're getting all these free man hours and antitrust and in violation of, the Fair Labor Standards Act. And so this is Louis von Ahn, and he actually uh, came up with reCAPTCHA before Google bought it. And if you look at what they're saying, okay, they know all about this comparative advantage and getting that free labor. I mean, he even says in here, um, that it makes him sad that these people are solving these problems, but it's not being monetized. So what Google has done is they have backdoored and stole uh, trillions and trillions of dollars of free labor, um, eh, without paying taxes, without paying wages. And see here, he's explaining how the whole system works. So one of these words at the time, this is the old reCAPTCHA. One of these words Google does know. The other word they do not know. So if they know the spelling of this word, but they don't know the spelling of this word, if you correctly give this answer, then they can infer that this answer is correct. And you do that enough times, and uh, you can basically get people to solve problems, and you can save that, use that as training data, and uh, free labor. Um, and Google has actually had a policy of doing this for a long time. This is Peekaboom, and uh, this is basically human computation. And again, um, this was published uh, by Google. It's Google Talk Archive, and it's called Human Computation. And so, what Google has done is they have basically hacked the law and gotten free labor in an antitrust, unlawful uh, comparative advantage. And in doing so, they have made competing with Google impossible. I mean, you have the Android project where this is all open source, meaning they pay for some of the labor, but a lot of the labor is donated. The coding, you log into the Android repository. Here it is, Android open source. So every Android has this free source code that anybody can uh, donate to. I guess somehow my battery's running low. Um, you can in fact it's built off of GNU Linux, open source free software. So we just took all this free stuff on the internet, and uh, now we own it, or we own it and we control it, but we don't have to pay for it. So here's the code. So I mean, if you ever wanted to know how uh, Android works, this is it. Here's the system. Let's see, we got the core. Let's see, storage. Uh, this stats. So this is literally the C plus plus, yeah, C plus plus code that runs Android. And see, um, if you look, it keeps track of all the history. So every time you you save to it. So here's the author, and I mean, you do see a lot of Google emails, but Square Up. Um, so this part right here was written by somebody else. Google didn't have. I mean, I don't know why in this one case here where it was determined that setting up a sales booth so you can get it in early and buy uh, secondhand goods cheaper. Um, that was deemed employment. Well, I all you gotta do is ask somebody to donate or upload all you'd have to do is follow this YouTube model to get around the labor. So you would just have it a contest, so it you're not guaranteed to get in early. It's all based on the contest, and then have like a website where you set up the various booths and take photos of it, and then that photo would be your copyright, and then you take that copyright and you donate it to um, the company that wants free labor, and then it's all good because you have the right to make copyrighted works, and you have the right to give it to YouTube and um, or any company, like, and YouTube does this on everything. I mean, Waze was bought out by Google because I mean you can't have competition, right? And so if you go here, uh, you can actually edit the map. I've done this. You can fix speed limits and all this stuff. So like if Google was to pay people to update this shit, it would cost a lot of money. Well, what we'll do is we'll just let you make these changes, and it's part of this new internet revolution where really what we're doing is we're transferring all the wealth from all the old tech to the new businesses. So newspapers, radio, television, all that is going to get ground sucked by this new policy. Whereas a newspaper can't accept free labor. A radio station can't get free labor in producing audio clips and all that stuff to be broadcasted. Um, a old-fashioned television station can have people doing management tasks or labor for the studio, but get online, new internet thing. Now, not only can you do that, but like this video shows, you can actually broadcast to the world not only how it works and how the whole game was to get free labor. So the way it works is, uh, you have these words, and then they have an image. And what you want to do is you want to program that the man is these pixels so that you can use that data set to train the artificial intelligence engine. And so um, you create this game, and now, even though your whole intent was to get free labor because they're doing your work for you and having fun doing it, um, it doesn't violate the Fair Labor Standards Act. Basically, it was a grab and a give. I mean, the law is that if they want the law to apply to you, it does. just like Bitcoin is being regulated by laws passed and written before computers, let alone Bitcoin or the internet or any of that stuff. So again, this is my Consumer Review Fairness Act review of YouTube on their platform. Um, Everything here, I have tried to show evidence as to avoid libel and slander claims. So in here, I even have a video, and I applied. Uh, let's see. Thank you for applying. The chief. I got a kick out of this. Hi, Chief Executive Officer. Thanks for applying to Google. Uh, yeah, when I applied, uh, basically my whole application was the information surrounding uh, reCAPTCHA and this illegal stuff that they're doing. And they responded by changing their website to remove all of the incriminating information. I mean, I even document that. So in here, if I am wrong about Google enslaving the world, why did they destroy all the evidence? Watch the video, then go here. The web page changes, and that I posted that 5 years ago too. So that's my review of YouTube and why they suck, why they're ruining and destroying the world. Um, Free speech is more than just this antics. Free speech necessary for a free nation. I mean, you can read about why freedom of speech is so important, but I mean that's why they ordered the amendments the way they did. First, most importantly, even before your right to self-defense and arms, you need to be able to share ideas. And section 230 of the FCC Act is so unconstitutional, but it has all of these huge mega corporations behind it. And so, even though, in fact, the rest of the law, when they passed the Decency Act, all the rest of it was declared unconstitutional. Only Section 230 that allows YouTube to censor and all this other stuff, you know, and it gives them a blanket immunity from all civil suits. But anyways, that's my review of uh, Google's YouTube, and of course, um, how they support the discrimination of uh, mental ill persons. That's fine. Go ahead and hate on those people. That's fine. And so, real difference between frauditors and sovereign citizens. So this was some video that I reported, and basically, I had I had joined this channel, and they they presented themselves as a group where they allowed all various uh, points of views and stuff, and that wasn't it. I'm not gonna try to find it, but somewhere in here, they basically um, talk about this woman, how she needed a thorium drip. Hmm. Well, anyways, I challenge YouTube to delete this fucking video.